Coming up, I'm going to talk about cycling the tank. So I started this tank up about 6 weeks ago, and as you can see, I've got some critters in there, some live fish, and I've got some hermit crabs in there. But to cycle this tank, it was actually pretty simple. What I did was I started the tank up with fresh salt water, and I placed the live rock that I received into the tank the same day that it came in, and it was shipped in boxes in water. So really a lot of the life that was on the rocks, I didn't have a lot of die off when the rock came in. So I put it right into the tank. When I rinsed each piece of rock in fresh salt water, just to kind of get any potential die off out of there, and also get any debris off of the rock. But yeah, I was pretty happy. So I just I did that, and really what I did for the next few days, actually 3 days in a row, was I did 30% water changes. So this is a 225 gallon tank, and I did the 30% water changes for each individual day, just really to try to get ahead of the ammonia spike, because that's going to happen even if you do use live rock that comes in with a lot of life. There will be some die off. So I did that, those major water changes to get ahead of the ammonia. But I tested. I didn't really start testing the water until a few days, later. Actually, after about day 3 or 4 of these water changes. So I never did see any ammonia. It came out to be 0. So that was a good thing. I guess when I started testing, I was already behind the ammonia spike. And when I tested for nitrite, the few times that I tested for nitrite, I only had 0.1 part per million of the nitrite. So I knew at that point in time that I was the cycle was progressing pretty good, and I was moving along pretty quickly with it. When I tested the nitrate, I think I had maybe 25 parts per million nitrate after a few days, and then soon after that it was down, I think it was to 10 parts per million. So ultimately this tank cycled in about 1 week, which is great. That's an advantage with live rock, is that you're going to get a much quicker cycle versus dry rock. And I added no bacterial boosting products to the tank. This is all natural. I didn't throw in any dead shrimp. I just used the live rock to cycle, and I had the protein skimmer running right from the get-go. So very pleased in terms of that quick cycle. So as I mentioned, I started this tank up 6 weeks ago, and after the cycle, which technically I think was 8 days in terms of the cycle when it was complete. 8 days after the tank was set up, I did add some hermit crabs to the tank to try to get some additional life in there. I also, I planned to add some banded trochus snails, but they came in DOA, dead on arrival, so I did not add any of those. But about a week after I added in the hermit crabs, I added in some fish. So you could see the 4 green chromas. So those were the first fish that I added into the tank. So technically they were, about 2 weeks after I added the rock to the tank. And whenever I add, the first set of fish to a new reef tank, I'm kind of expecting not all of them to make it, but surprisingly these 4 did, and they were really in great shape from the get-go. So they never showed any signs of stress, and I was really very psyched about that. Then what I had to do was about a week later, so this is about week 3 into the process here with the new tank, I had to add 4 additional fish. You could see the tangs I have in here, the yellow tang, the sailfin tang, the yellow-eyed coal tang, and the bristle-tooth tamini tang. Really cool fish. So I had these fish in my frag tank, and in another video I talked about how I had to suddenly break down my 50-gallon lowboy because it started to leak on me. Well, those 4 tangs were in that lowboy tank, and my other frag tank had a fox face and also another sailfin tang. So, and it also had a couple of clownfish in there. So it was pretty crowded. I did not want to relocate these 4 fish into that other frag tank, which is a 75-gallon frag tank. So I kept my fingers crossed. I took a shot, and I relocated them into this 225-gallon Peninsula tank. And boy, let me tell you, they really acclimated themselves very quickly. I think they were very happy to have a much bigger space to swim in, and as you can see, they're doing a great job in terms of picking away at the rock and picking away at the bottom. There's not a lot of algae in this tank right now, so I am really psyched. I was always planning on adding a bunch of tangs to the tank, and so with the emergency going on with the leaking tank, I had to add them a lot sooner than what I had expected. But boy, it definitely came out great, because they're just doing a super job, and they're very happy, and they never showed any real signs of stress. So just to kind of sum up really what's been going on in terms of this tank cycling, really over the last 6 weeks that it's been up and running, I had the live rock in there, and it cycled pretty much with about a week's time, which was just great. Again, I'm just very glad to have the live rock and have that much quicker cycle than versus dry rock. The fish, well, I guess the hermit crabs were added about 8 days after the rock came into the tank, and then about a week after that, I added those green chromis, and then a week after that came in the other 4 tangs. So listen, I am really quite pleased at this point. Things are looking really good. There is not a lot of sign of problematic algae, so I haven't hit the ugly period yet with this tank. I'm certainly expecting to see something, but these tangs are really doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is kind of picking at those rocks and eating any undesirable algae, and so hopefully that won't happen. But I think also the fact that the tank is bare bottom will help in that regard. As I mentioned, I have the protein skimmer running. I do not have anything going on right now in terms of the nutrient export. I've got the Bellum ARID C30 all plumbed in, and it's running, but I don't have the lights going on yet, so I'm probably going to fire that up pretty soon. But my plan at this point in time is to get the calcium reactor fired up. I've got a brand new calcium reactor from Reef Octopus. It's a brand new model. It's a dual chamber calcium reactor, so I'm going to get that all plumbed in, and I'm going to get that ready to fire up. I've been taking some DKH measurements with my KH director, the GHL KH director, and right now the DKH is around 6 DKH, and the calcium is in the low 400s, magnesium is around 1400. So I got to get that DKH up, but obviously it is low because I'm not doing anything right now to supplement. So I think what I'll do is I'll get the calcium reactor going, get the DKH up a little bit, and once I start to see some signs of coralline algae, then I'm going to try out my first few starter corals. Luckily, I've got some LPS that I could take from my 187-gallon tank and test them out on this tank, and then if all goes well, I could add some hardy SPS, and I'll start with some Montipora. Again, I've got some Montipora that I could bring over from the other tank into this tank. So that is the plan, and that is the journey in terms of the cycling of this tank and the plan moving forward. Anyway, many thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. One last thing, if you need help with a new tank build, including help designing a custom aquarium or help reconfiguring your current setup, then feel free to reach out to me. I will put a link in the video description below. And if you are looking to add some equipment, I do sell GHL, Pax Bellum, and Royal Exclusiv products, as well as Reef Octopus calcium and Kalk reactors, which is the equipment I use and recommend. So again, I will put a link in the video description below. Again, thanks for watching. See you next time.